everyone, and welcome to Cinema Therapy Reviews. I'm Jonathan Decker, licensed therapist who loves movies. Joining me is...
Alan Seawright, a professional filmmaker who needs therapy and is worried about critiquing other filmmakers' movies. But here we go.
It's okay. You can be tough but fair because that's what you want from other people. As long as you're playing by the rules you want to be played with, all good.
Valid.
So
I want every filmmaker to tell me what I did wrong and how I can improve
you
it.
do, because you're kind of masochistic like that. You like the pain a little bit.
Just a little bit.
I'm going to make you so happy.
So this is a new channel, and it's going to be different from Cinema Therapy because Cinema Therapy is a deep dive discussion channel assessing the psychology of movies. This is going to be spoiler-free reviews of movies as they come out, sharing Alan's insights as a filmmaker, my thoughts as a licensed therapist, but also just really getting into the film criticism of it. Those of you who are asking for more Alan, this is your jam.
And those of you who remember Jono from his days on local access television, this is your jam.
All right. Yeah, all 5 of you.
Can they coexist?
So we're going to break these reviews into 3 sections. Our take, where Alan and I just share our insights on the film, how entertaining it was, how well made it was, what we enjoyed, what we didn't. Then we're going to go into Who's It For, where we talk about who would enjoy this film, who wouldn't, and as far as content-wise, why is it rated what it's rated, who should stay at home, and who would just revel in it. And then third is how does it help? Where without giving away plot details, we talk a little bit about the psychology. If I were wrestling with this issue, I would go see this film with these questions in mind, looking for these answers and these insights. So that's what we're going to do. Without further ado, Beetlejuice. Alan, what were your thoughts?
I really enjoyed this film in exactly the way that I enjoyed the original Beetlejuice, which is not to say that it's a great movie.
No.
But it was a really fun movie. Like, it's messy. The plot is a little weird. Frankly, I thought that some of the characters, the script didn't give them as much as I would like to see from those actors. Like, there wasn't as much to do sometimes.
Yeah.
And everything is kind of surface level as far as the emotional thematic stuff. But you're having so much fun living in this zany, disgusting, horror adjacent but silly version of it world that, like, I just didn't care. I was having too much fun to be down on the parts that normally film critic me would be really like, oh, you failed.
I felt the exact same way because I thought it was sloppy. I thought there were plot threads that either didn't go anywhere, or when they were resolved, I was like, oh, is that it? Like, it just kind of, and here's your resolution, and moving on to the next thing.
Monica Bellucci's whole character.
Monica Bellucci's whole character.
Recognize this puss.
Never seen that chick before in my life.
Well, but Monica Bellucci's whole character is representative of the film as a whole.
Yes.
Super fun, amazing to look at, and I don't mean just because it's Monica Bellucci. I mean like the actual design
the makeup
of the
that
character.
they did on her is fantastic.
And really enjoyable, but also not a ton of emotional weight, which, to be fair, you're not really looking for that in a Beetlejuice film. But I have to say, I appreciated there were attempts to craft a more meaningful story, I feel like, than there was in the first film. This movie really went for grief, intergenerational trauma.
The ghost house? Is your mom Lydia Dietz?
Unfortunately.
She's a legend.
Being in a manipulative, toxic relationship in several directions. And it had a lot of different things going on. It was building on the mythology. It added a lot of characters, and as you said, a lot of fantastic actors, some of whom weren't given a whole lot to work with. Like, I feel like Jenna Ortega, who is fantastic in the Scream films and in Wednesday, I thought she was fine.
I don't feel like she was misused. It's Jenna Ortega. We know how talented she is, so I wanted to, let's get some more out of Jenna's character.
Yeah.
But she was good in every scene she was in. There just wasn't a lot to do.
I appreciated that they tried to build a more meaningful story. I also just kind of felt like that when all of that was happening, I'm like, yeah, but can we just get back to...
Can we get back to the shrunken head puppet guys?
Yeah, it's more similar to what you were saying. I have all sorts of criticisms of the film, and I just didn't care. Because everybody's having fun. Now, I don't want it to sound like I'm dumping on the film, because the honest truth is I'm just getting all of my critiques out of the way so that I can just say none of that matters.
It's a critic-proof movie.
Yeah.
Like, there are things wrong with it, and none of them matter. It's a magical recipe. I want to figure out how they did it.
I love 80s Tim Burton. And then after that, I love the idea of Tim Burton more of the actual execution. But this really felt like a return to form for him and his production team. So let me ask you, Alan, who do you think this movie is for?
Obviously, Tim Burton fans, anyone with a macabre sense of humor is going to really enjoy this because it's gross and disgusting and
it really
terrifying, but everything that's terrifying is funny. If you've got the same issues I do, you're going to laugh your ass off at this movie. It is not for people who are squeamish.
No.
There are fluids. There are wounds. They're all silly looking, but there's a lot of them.
It's more the gross out and gory humor. But if you've seen the first one, dial that up like a notch or two more, and that's about what to expect.
So, Jonathan, tell me then, we know who it's for. How can it help those people?
This is our first review. Everyone should know we're spoiler free as far as if it's in the trailers, it's fair game. Like we're going to talk a little bit about plot points. So for me, the strongest emotional through line in this film is the three generations of Dietz women and how they've been affected by this demon that tormented them. Honestly, it reminds me of a more family-friendly version of 2018's Halloween in that respect, where you have these three generations of traumatized women standing up to their tormentor, also just standing up and confronting their trauma. But this does it in a very comedic way, but it's still there. How do we reconcile when one of us is afraid, another is hurting, and then the youngest thinks that these two are ridiculous because they haven't experienced it themselves? And so if there's intergenerational trauma in your family, or if there's estrangement between family members, I would go into this film looking at how do the Dietz women overcome their differences and reconcile is the first thing I'd look at. The second thing I would look at is unhealthy romantic relationships. What is it that you're actually looking for in a partner? I feel like the first Beetlejuice had this very healthy marriage between Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis's character. And this film is kind of a counter to that because the romantic relationships in this are all horrible in one way or another. And so if you're watching the two of them together, Beetlejuice and then Beetlejuice,
the juice is loose.
Sorry, I just said it 3 times.
We're
just
good.
Making sure.
We're good.
If you're watching them together, you can actually do a nice compare and contrast between what does a healthy romantic relationship look like, what are you looking for, and what are you not looking for? Because the second one provides plenty of grease for the wheels for that. So, Alan, what's your rating out of 10? What would you give Beetlejuice for artistic quality, entertainment value, just the overall experience?
Boy, I'm between a 7 and an 8, and I think I'm going to give it an 8 just based on the number of times I giggled into my popcorn.
We're very in sync on this film because I feel like it's a 7 movie, but it's elevated to an 8 by just how much fun it is. It's an 8. And that's the thing. If a movie makes me laugh this much, it covers a whole host of cinematic sins.
So we agree on this. That's great. 8 out of 10 for the quality of the film. You're really going to enjoy it if you have a macabre sense of humor. And there's honestly a fair amount to recommend, even though it's kind of light and sort of glossing across the top of some of these serious subjects. There are the following subjects that you can talk about after the film:
intergenerational trauma, family reconciliation, and abusive, unhealthy relationships are all things that are addressed in this film and have some pretty solid points made about how to handle them. So let us know in the comments below, would you love to see a full cinema therapy episode on this? Once you've seen the film, mark it with spoilers, but then tell us your thoughts. What do you think we should talk about? And after you've seen Beetlejuice, let us know in the comments, what did you think of it? Now, this is our first review. Give us your feedback. What did you like? What could we do better? What would you like to see more of? And help us to shape this channel to meet your needs.
Give us a review on our review. So until next time, we'll see you at the theater.